Okay, so I don't even know how to start this. I've rewritten this like 4 times already because every version sounded either too calm or way too dramatic. And honestly, the truth was both at the same time. I still don't fully know how to explain it. I'm 32. I teach music at a community college. I have a sister, a mom, and a dad, a childhood full of Sunday dinners and matching Christmas sweaters. Normal, right? Almost boring. The kind of family where nothing really happens. 4 months ago, I found out my entire life was a lie, and I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean an actual, documented lie that 2 people almost took to their graves. It started with a cream-colored envelope in my mother's desk drawer. My name was written on the front, not in her handwriting. Just Nora, no last name, no return address. Inside was a hospital birth certificate from April 14th, 1993, my birthday, and on it were 2 names I had never heard before in my life. I'm getting ahead of myself. I do that when I'm nervous. And honestly, I've been nervous telling this story ever since it happened. So let me back up for a second. Let me tell you who I thought I was before I found that envelope, because that's the part that really matters. That's the part that makes everything else hit the way it does. Because the worst part about finding out you were lied to isn't even the lie itself. It's realizing how many times the truth was sitting right in front of you and you just never knew to look for it. So, my name is Nora Calloway, was Calloway. Still is, technically. I haven't changed anything. I don't know if I will. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, middle child, younger daughter of Robert and Diane Calloway. My sister Kate is 3 years older than me, and honestly the most organized person I've ever met. Color-coded planner, never late anywhere, remembers every birthday. We are very different people. Our family looked fine. Good even, suburban house, 2-car garage, dad coached Little League for exactly 1 season before realizing he hated it. Mom made dinner most nights. We weren't rich, but we weren't struggling either. Nobody screamed. Nobody disappeared. It was just normal, stable. The kind of family that seems completely fine as long as nobody looks too closely. And the thing is, I never looked too closely. Why would I? But there were a few gaps, tiny things. The kind you get used to stepping over without really noticing. Like Kate's birth story was basically fa Amelie legend. 18 hours of labor, my dad pacing the hallway, my grandmother getting furious at a vending machine that ate her quarters. I heard that story 100 times growing up. But mine, nothing. One time when I was maybe 12, I asked my mom directly. She smiled and just said, "You came fast, nothing to tell." That was it, and there were barely any baby pictures of me in the house. Hundreds of Kate. Kate is in the hospital. Kate's first bath. Kate with the dog, me. Just a few photos starting around age 3, and even those always felt a little strange somehow. Like I'd shown up already assembled, like the beginning of my life had been skipped over. I noticed those things. I just never really let myself wonder why. So my mom had knee surgery in February. Nothing major, just enough to keep her in the hospital for a few days. My sister called and asked if I could stop by the house and grab a few things for her. A robe, her reading glasses, and this specific lotion she liked that apparently only one store in the whole mall carried. Very her. I let myself in and went upstairs to my parents' bedroom. It looked the same as always. Pale blue walls. My dad's watch is on the dresser. My mom's desk is in the corner by the window where she paid bills and wrote birthday cards. I opened the top drawer. No lotion. Second drawer. Nothing. Third drawer, and that's where I found it. At the very back, underneath expired coupons and old birthday cards, there was this cream-colored envelope. Thin. The kind that looks completely unimportant. My name was written on the front. Nora, just that. No last name, no return address. And the handwriting wasn't my mom's. I know my mom's handwriting by heart, that loose cursive she uses for everything. This was different. Smaller, careful, like someone concentrating on every single letter. I should have put it back. I know I should have, but seeing your name in a stranger's handwriting inside your mother's desk drawer, I don't know. I couldn't leave it alone. I opened it before I'd even fully decided to. Inside was a hospital record. April 14th, 1993. Sent. Margaret's Hospital, Richmond, Virginia. Birth certificate. Female infant. Mother, Caroline Wren. Father, Thomas Wren. My name wasn't anywhere on the document, but the birth date matched exactly. Same day, same year. I read it again, then again, slower, like maybe I was misunderstanding something. I wasn't. There was also a small note paperclipped to the back. Different handwriting this time. My mom's, just 4 words. We gave our word. I sat on the edge of my parents' bed and just stared at it. Rain was hitting the windows. The whole house was quiet. And suddenly, every weird little gap from my childhood, the missing birth story, the lack of baby pictures, the way my mom always seemed uncomfortable whenever I asked about family history, none of it felt random anymore. It started forming a shape. I put the envelope in my bag, found the lotion, and left the house. I didn't sleep for 3 days after that. 4 days later, I went to see her at the hospital. She was sitting up in bed, wearing the robe I'd brought her, flipping through a magazine like everything was normal, and I just sat down beside her and looked at her for a second without saying anything. This woman packed my lunches, drove me to piano lessons every Tuesday for 6 years, stayed up with me after nightmares, and never once acted like I was too much. I loved her. I still did, and I had no idea how to ask her why she'd lied to me my entire life, so I just said it. "Who is Caroline Wren?" The magazine slowly lowered, and something in her face just dropped. No surprise. It wasn't a surprise at all. It looked more like recognition, like she'd been waiting for this moment for 32 years and still wasn't prepared for it. "Where did you find that name?" "Your desk. 3rd drawer. Cream envelope. My name on the front in handwriting that isn't yours." Silence, a long silence. Then, really quietly, she said, "You weren't supposed to find that." And I don't know, something about that answer hit me immediately. The fact that her first reaction was about hiding it, not about me. "No," I said. "I wasn't. That was the whole point, right?" She looked away toward the window, rain against the glass. Somewhere down the hall, a nurse was laughing at something. Normal sounds while my whole life was falling apart in this hospital room. Diane, I never called her that, ever, but Mom didn't feel right in that moment. "Who is Caroline Wren?" She took a breath. "She was your mother, Nora." That word hit me harder than I expected. Mother, about someone else. I felt it physically, honestly, like pressure sitting right in the middle of my chest. "What do you mean was?" "Your birth mother. She gave birth to you, and then things were complicated. She couldn't keep you." Couldn't or didn't? Both, neither. I don't know how to explain it in a way that makes sense. "Try." Another silence. Then she reached for my hand, and I didn't pull away. Part of me wanted to, I think. But another part of me still needed her, even while I was angry at her. And honestly, that still embarrasses me a little. How badly I still needed my mom in the same moment I felt betrayed by her. Then she started talking, slowly at first, then faster. Like once the truth finally started coming out, she couldn't stop it anymore. Caroline Wren was 23 when she had me, unmarried, broke, working 2 jobs outside Richmond, waitressing at a diner and cleaning hotel rooms on weekends. My biological father, Thomas, had been with her for 2 years before he just disappeared, not dramatically. He just stopped showing up 3 months before I was born. Caroline had nobody. Her mother was gone. Her father hadn't spoken to her in years. She was alone, pregnant, terrified, and trying to survive. Diane, my mom, worked with her at the diner, and she'd been trying to have a baby for 6 years. Miscarriage after miscarriage. Doctors saying things like unlikely in those careful voices people use when they're trying not to sound hopeless. Then one morning in October 1992, Caroline came into work 3 months pregnant and shaking because she didn't know what she was going to do. My mom said she didn't even think before helping her. She drove Caroline to appointments, sat with her through the hard nights, bought baby clothes and hid them in a drawer because she was too scared to believe any of it would actually happen. When I was born, Caroline held me for 47 minutes. My mom remembered the exact number. She said she counted because she knew that was time she could never give back to her. She wanted there to be a number attached to it, something real. The adoption was private. No agency, no lawyers, just a handwritten agreement in a hospital room. We gave our word. That's what the note meant. A promise between two women that neither of them broke for 32 years. The plan was that nobody would ever know. Not Kate, not me, nobody. And sitting there in that hospital room, listening to her cry while she told me all of this, the worst part was that I understood it. I understood why they did it. And somehow that hurt even more. Because understanding why someone lied to you doesn't make the lie hurt less. 3 weeks after leaving the hospital, I found Caroline. There wasn't much to go on. No public records, no real paper trail, just a name on a birth certificate and 32 years of silence. But eventually I tracked her down to a small town in North Carolina. She's a librarian now, 55 years old. Quiet life. I sat outside that library in my car for almost 40 minutes before I finally went in. She was shelving books when I found her, tall, thin, gray starting to come through her brown hair. And when she turned around and saw me standing there, she didn't ask who I was. She just looked at me and said quietly, "You look like Thomas." Not hello, nor only can I help you, just that. Like she'd already imagined this moment 1,000 times. We talked for 4 hours that first day. Not about the adoption at first, about music. She used to play violin. About books, about how rain sounds different in North Carolina than it does in Virginia. Small, careful conversations. As both of us knew, one wrong step could break the whole thing apart. Eventually, I asked her the question I'd been carrying around since the hospital. "Do you regret it?" She looked out the window for a long time before answering. Cars passing by. A dog is dragging its owner down the sidewalk. Just regular life happening while we sat there inside 32 years of silence. "Regret isn't the right word," she said finally. "I regret the circumstances. I don't regret that you were loved." Then she paused. "I regret that I wasn't the one who got to love you." I didn't cry in front of her. I cried later, alone in my car at a gas station off I-85 with a half-eaten granola bar sitting in my lap and some random song playing on the radio that I can't even remember now. Because sometimes grief doesn't hit in the moment. Sometimes it waits until afterward, when everything gets quiet and you finally understand what just happened. That you met the woman who gave you life. And she was kind and hurting, and she let you go because she honestly believed someone else could give you a better life than she could. And the awful part is she was probably right. That night I called Diane, not Mom, Diane. The name still felt strange in my mouth. I found Caroline. Silence, then softly, "How is she?" And honestly, that question broke something open in me a little, because after everything, her first concern was Caroline. Not herself, not whether I was angry, just Caroline. "She's okay," I said. Then my mom started crying quietly on the phone. "I didn't steal you, Nora," she said. "I need you to know that. She gave you to me. She chose this." "I know. Do you?" I thought about it for a second. "I know she chose to let you raise me. I know you chose to love me. And somewhere between those two things, the truth got buried so deep that I spent 32 years not fully knowing who I was." I stopped for a second. I know all of that can be true at the same time, and I know it still hurts. She didn't interrupt me. When I finished, she just asked, "What do you need from me?" "The truth from now on, even when it's hard." "Okay." And I need you to stop thinking that loving me means hiding things from me. Okay. Then I took a breath because this next part mattered. I'm not leaving. I'm not choosing between you two. You are my mother. She is my birth mother. Both of those things are true, and I'm not turning this into some competition. Something shifted after that, not healing exactly. It wasn't that simple, but maybe the beginning of it. About a month later, Caroline sent me a letter. Handwritten, same careful handwriting from the envelope. She told me she stopped playing violin after I was born because every lullaby reminded her of me. She told me my biological father had another family now in Virginia Beach and probably barely remembered her name. She told me she never had another child, not because she couldn't, because part of her had spent 32 years still waiting for me. At the bottom, she wrote, "I don't need you to call me Mom. I don't need you to choose me. I just need you to know that every day for 32 years I thought about you. And every day I hope the life I gave you was better than the one I could have given you." I read that letter 7 times, and somewhere around the 7th time, something inside me finally loosened a little. Not forgiveness exactly, not even acceptance, just understanding. That families aren't built from blood alone, or truth alone. They're built from choices. The choice Diane made to raise and love me. The choice Caroline made to trust someone else with the hardest thing she'd ever had to give up. And the choice I'm trying to make now is to stop seeing the lie as only a wound. Because it was also love, messy, imperfect, painful love, but love all the same. The truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes it just shows you what you've been carrying your whole life without realizing it. But honestly, even that is better than spending another 32 years feeling slightly out of place in your own life. My name is Nora Calloway, and for the first time, I think I finally understand what that means.